welcome to ACC Student News, the news students can use. I'm Ivy.
And I'm Mike. Here are this week's stories.
The Trump administration will freeze over $2 billion in federal funds because Harvard refused to comply with a list of demands. The government made some simple demands, but other demands seemed vague to the school. Harvard was sent a 5-page barrage of new demands that would reshape the school's operations, admissions, hiring faculty, and student life. It took less than 72 hours for the university to say no in response to Harvard. The government swiftly retaliated with a freeze of more than $2 billion in funding. Even for the world's richest university, a lasting freeze would cut deeply into labs, departments, and even classrooms.
China manufacturers. Trump may have raised tariffs on Chinese imports, but that is not stopping people from buying their Chinese goods. Many have instead turned to lessening their order or buying directly from Chinese manufacturers. Many believe that in a few months, things will go back to normal and the tariffs will not be a problem. However, producers of goods are worried about the unpredictability of Trump's tariff policies.
Portage is launching an all-virtual PACE Academy, aiming to draw students from across Northwest Indiana for online courses. The courses will be provided from grades 9 to 12th grade, starting 2025 through 2026. According to Tim Puriowski, the District Director of Instructional Technology, Portage will also work online to help and provide weekly check-in with students to go over their progress, to make sure that the students are where they need to be. Students will take one class at a time before moving on to the next course. Due to the recent loss of 300 students due to other online schools, it will be a way for Portage to enroll more students in their district.
Florida mom dead stabbing spree. Florida mom Maggie Poi was declared dead upon her hospital arrival after a man broke into her house at around 2 a.m., stabbing her and her daughter Isabel Joseph. The suspect then quickly fled the scene, but was quickly found later that night. 56-year-old Vital Joseph is now in custody, facing charges of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and burglary of a dwelling with a battery. Officials released that Joseph and Poi were previously in a relationship, and he lived in the home where the attack took place. However, Vital Joseph refused to answer when asked if him and Isabel Joseph were related. Isabel has luckily been treated for her injuries, but is stated to be in critical condition. Isabel has commented on how the loss of her mother has been the hardest thing she ever had to go through. She currently has a GoFundMe to raise money for her mother's funeral.
The UK Supreme Court has issued that trans women can't be identified as women. In the decision that delighted gender-critical activists, 5 judges ruled unanimously that a legal definition of a woman in the Equality Act 2010 did not include transgender women who held gender recognition certificates. The UK government said the ruling brought clarity and confidence for women who run hospitals, sports clubs, and women's refuges. The case was brought to the Supreme Court by the Gender Critical Campaign Group for Women Scotland, which is backed financially by J.K. Rowling, after 2 Scottish courts rejected its arguments that the Equality Act's definition of a woman. Trans rights campaigns urged trans people and their supporters to remain calm about the decision.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran national legally residing in Maryland, has been wrongfully deported despite a court order protecting him from removal. He was sent to El Salvador, where authorities imprisoned him in maximum security facility known for detaining suspected gang members. The U.S. Supreme Court later ruled the deportation unlawful and instructed the government to facilitate his return. Federal officials maintain that their responsibility is limited to removing legal obstacles. Salvadoran officials continue to hold Abrego Garcia without formal charges. The situation has prompted diplomatic tensions and intensified domestic debate over immigration, enforcement, and executive authority.
Earlier this week, tragedy struck Wilmer Hutchings High School in Dallas, Texas, when a shooting incident unfolded during the school day, leaving the community in shock and mourning. The event occurred around 10:30 a.m., causing an immediate lockdown as law enforcement responded to reports of gunfire within the school premises. Witnesses described a chaotic scene as students and staff looked from classrooms and hallways. Emergency services arrived swiftly and the situation was contained within an hour. Unfortunately, the shooting resulted in multiple injuries, with several students being transported to local hospitals and for treatment. The shooter, 17-year-old Tracy Haynes, Jr., a former student of Wilmer Hutchings High School, was apprehended after turning himself in the next day around 9 a.m. and is currently in custody. Investigators are working to determine the motive behind the attack, which has left parents and students with fear and uncertainty. As the investigation continues, the Wilmer Hutchings community stands united in grief, mourning the loss of innocence in what should have been a safe educational environment. Further updates will be provided as more information becomes available.
Victor Perez, a 17-year-old nonverbal autistic teen with cerebral palsy, was shot 9 times by Pocatello police just seconds after they arrived outside his home. He was holding a knife behind a 4-foot fence, and no de-escalation was attempted. His family has filed a notice to sue for wrongful death, citing excessive force and negligence. Perez was declared brain dead and died after being taken off life support. 4 officers are on leave and a state investigation is underway. The family is demanding accountability in federal and criminal court.
The state of California is suing the Trump administration. California officials argue that Trump's use of International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose tariffs on other countries is unlawful. The act in question allows the president to regulate transactions and freeze assets in response to economic threats. But the suit states that the act does not allow the imposition of tariffs and that imposing tariffs requires congressional approval. White House spokesperson Kush Desai denounced the lawsuit and defended the tariffs, saying that California should focus on the rampant crime and homelessness rates instead of attempting blocking tariffs at Trump's tariff efforts, and that the White House would continue their economic efforts.
American pastor kidnapped in South Africa rescued after high-intensity shootout. Tennessee pastor John Sullivan was captured by masked men while preaching a sermon at his church in Eastern Cape Province. Local police got tipped about a pastor getting kidnapped and trapped in a safe house held in the Eastern Province. As police got there, they got into a shootout with a masked man. When police got to Sullivan, he miraculously unharmed and has praised God for his health and wished media gave him and his family privacy.
That's all the news we have for today.
Make sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at ACC TV Hammond.